The fear of starting Willis. What am I missing here, Ant? Am I missing something?
I don't know for sure. I was trying to figure that out unless he's saying, fear of starting Jordan Willis. I don't know. I think it's going to be Samson Ebukam, and if it wasn't Ebukam, I think it would be Charles Omenihu as the guys that would start, at that defensive end spot, and then
Yeah.
you would start to kind of trickle down. It could be Jordan Willis after that, but they've got a lot of players they can really count on. It could be Kerry Hyder because we know Chris Kasarik loves himself some Kerry Hyder, and for whatever reason, when Kerry Hyder plays for Chris Kasarik, it's the best version of Kerry Hyder.
Right, right. Fear of starting D line will cause. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I
okay.
totally messed that up. That was all on me, boss. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, our defense is scary. I was listening to, dang, I don't remember what it was. I don't know. I don't think it was the Ringer. It was the Athletic, their general thing, and they were going through like major questions for defensive schemes. And they just left out the 49ers. And at the end of the episode, they go, "We didn't talk about the 49ers defensive line because they're just scary, terrifying, deep, and they have studs everywhere. Like there's not really anything complex to it. It's just different. There is not a scarier defensive line in the NFL. I think maybe the Eagles is probably the closest. Is there another team that you think stands out as far as depth and stud talent on the defensive line that's like, whew, maybe Washington, but not without Chase Young?
Yeah, I mean, depth-wise, that's the problem, right? The 49ers have more depth than anyone else. You have players on certain teams. Tampa Bay, for instance, has a really good defensive line, and they had some young guys that they've added along the way, but they're going to be without Sue, So, I mean, you have some question marks. So I think you're right. The 49ers have the most depth along the defensive line and probably the best overall group together, and then the Eagles are second. And that's one of the things the Niners can count on is that next wave can just keep continuing to come in. These guys can continue to put pressure. So that way, when we get to the fourth quarter, Nick Bosa is going to be extremely comfortable and he's going to be pretty much fresh. He's going to be able to get off the quarterback and close it down.
That's the thing that like if you watch the Rams play, right? Like they have Aaron Donald on snap count, which I think all players do. But a lot of times he'll use up his plays, and there are several games, 3 or 4, where the game's on the line. Aaron Donald's on the sideline. Like he hit
Yeah.
his plays. He's done. That's part of his deal. That's part of his contracts. The Niners, they rotate. Bosa might get 1 or 2 series, then he's sitting. And he's coming back when he's completely rested. And that's just a luxury that teams just don't have. And the way that pays off is not in the second quarter. It's not in the third quarter. It's not in the start of the fourth quarter. It's at the end of the fourth quarter and overtime because he's not exhausted. He still gets to come out. Meanwhile, that tackle's 70 snaps in. Bosa's sitting at, 40, 50. It makes a difference. And we all know who's more better shape. I don't think anybody's in better shape than Bosa. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Really going to come in here and do the gritty, are you? I mean, come on, man.